it's the aftertaste that's so nice. It's sour cherry wine. And so you have to like wait to the kick. This would be probably 16%, so 32. To get anything above 18%, you have to go laboratory. So remember Mad Dog 20? That was made in the lab or fortified to get the extra, percent. But I've gotten up to 18%. Yeah, so that's, in fact, I'm gonna have some after this. Yeah, I did. Great to see you.
Good job.
Yeah, well, thank you. The first one I made was because we ran out of beer and you couldn't get it in Columbia back in those days on Sunday after our game. So I made grapefruit wine. And it was the most foul shit you ever want to put in your mouth. And the other team and everybody are like, oh God. So I shamed myself. Everybody shamed me. So finally I started making it better. This is a little better than back in those days.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I thought we were going to have beer and wine here tonight, but
I did too.
They didn't work out the details on it, so.
I was a little disappointed to say the least.
Rick's got some perfect.
I got to drive back. Well, my problem is I know what beer is. I'll have that once a year.
Yeah, I feel like I don't do that.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, well, my knee started hurting, so I sat out here and, why don't you get a chair and pull up here? Pull up here.
I've got a seat right there.
Okay. Watch this process.
Right there. I'm with Howard Hunter.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I've been good. I was down on my farm all day yesterday.
Why don't we get a hunt on your farm?
Bring your ass up.
I was supposed to hunt with my friend in Greensboro, and I found out I had a doctor's appointment with a specialist. 6 months I had waited, and now I got to go back to Alabama tomorrow. But I'm going to come up sometime with a real.
Call me my land.
Yeah, that's what you were
right
saying.
Off 77.
Yes, okay.
To get to Winsboro, you either take Highway 34 or you take Highway 200. My land, you take 200, go a mile, take a right north.
Yeah, hey, we're sure they are.
Yeah,
we already talked.
Yeah. Yeah, we have land near Winsboro.
Yeah, he said. Last week we knew Roger Gaddy.
Guys up. He's a great guy. He's the mayor. For years.
Well, you remember Tom Sprott? He retired a couple of years ago, but he was the city attorney for like 35 years.
Wow. Roger's a general practitioner, doctor. And,
You got it?
Yeah, no, I got it. But yeah, he has. I talked to him after the last time. Yeah, I got some wine if you want it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome.
I do
If you
Renaissance
can
parties.
make your
This
ways
is my
to
one-eyed
your
Jack
seats in
of
about
love.
5 minutes.
And what it is
Started.
I have 70 feet, 60 for sour. Yeah, I'll be one of the more popular guys. They don't care.
All right, I gotta take a picture of you doing that. You gotta do it pouring it.
Well, here it goes. Whoa.
Oh, I got it though. I got it.
Give me your Kleenex. Yeah. I looked away for the camera right as I poured. make it. Okay, well, here. I like it. See what you think. It's not for everybody.
We're playing musical chairs.
Yeah, well, thank you. But you have to come and push it around. Yeah, well, thank you. Anyway, so the first one I ever made, my uncle had made for Monday. So the other team was like, oh, they drank it, but you know, just put it out there. Yeah, he is. He's not starting. Grew up in first in the week. Carolina had well, I heard about it, but they had this thing going with short lines and all that. Kind of avoiding the story and stuff. You see a lot of things there.
Hello, everybody. If I can have your attention, please. Feel free to stay standing if you are and mingling. You don't have to sit down right now. They're bringing in some more tables and chairs. So we've got some more people to register today. What we're going to do is we're going to have a prayer and then we're going to eat, and I'll kind of tell you how we go about eating. I'll tell you how we go about eating after our prayer. So if I can have your attention for 1 second, please. Let's pray. Lord, thank you so much for this evening. Thank you for the friendships here. And Father, we thank you for this family. Lord, we thank you that you've been so faithful to us, that you've provided for us. We thank you for the food here tonight and everything you've provided. We thank you for this current team, Lord. We pray your blessings upon them, that you'll protect them and heal those who are injured. Father, we thank you for all the older guys here who have been faithful to this club and to each other for years and years. And we just thank you for what you've done. And Lord, we lift up Big E to you right now, and we pray that you would touch him, Lord, that you would heal him, that you would fill him with your spirit and give him peace and comfort and bless his family and comfort them during this time, Lord, and that you would be glorified in the whole thing. And we thank you so much for how this team has rallied around him and supported him. And we pray you get glory in it. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. All right, folks, if we could have you start eating from this end of the room, these first rows of tables, y'all feel free to help yourself, and you start on the left side and work your way down. And I'm sure there is serving utensils on both sides of the tables, so make 2 lines as you go down through there. Thank you very much.
Well, I'm bloody sweat when that's up.
I'm telling you, Atkins mixed me up.
A blurb on the internet about a little island south of Australia. And there's only like 200,000 people that live there, supposedly absolutely gorgeous. But it has a constant high reading. So I don't know if it'll ever pick up and heading on. But do you know anything about this island? I wish I had the name.
There's some New Zealand came there,
Yeah.
but those, the Western rivers come across and end up in the east.
Oh, really?
Hello, hello. Hello, everybody. Can I have your attention, please? I'm Robert Balmer. I get the distinguished title of Chairman Emeritus of the Board for USC Rugby. That means I sit around on my butticus and do a bunch of nothing. And we've got a new chairman that is leading the board nowadays, but I'm privileged to get to speak to you for just a few minutes tonight. We've got one of our largest groups we've had assembled. This is 70 alumni and parents and 45 players and coaches. We're very thankful that you guys made it to our second annual Hall of Fame banquet. First, I'd like to recognize our board, our current serving board. Two members that aren't here tonight. Danny Johnson, like I mentioned to you earlier, he's doing a wonderful job as a chairman. He replaced me. I talked him into it, and he was willing to stand up for the nomination and got voted in, and we're very thankful for Danny. He's a good guy. Loves going to games, loves engaging with the parents, and he's doing a great job. Chris Murphy, he always runs the finance for us. He's a sergeant in arms on the board, and he does just a fantastic job. We're so thankful for Chris. Wyatt Shepard, he's our secretary. He does a great job. Wyatt's right here. Wyatt, can I have you raise your hand? Everybody recognize him? Thanks, Wyatt. Then also we've got Phil Harris. Phil, where are you? Could you stand up for me, Phil? Yeah. Phil does an outstanding job as the vice president. He also runs the Ruskin Rooster show. And then we've got our Bill Roden. Where are you, Bill? Special thanks to Bill. He's our treasurer, and he works his butt off on every event. We solely lean on him. He does a wonderful job. Thank you so much, Bill. And I want to also do a special call out to Brandy Roberts tonight because of the catering stuff. Brandy, John's wife, she's done a great job making everything happen tonight. So we're thankful for her. Katie, the intern. We love Katie. We're gonna, she'll be part in the program later, so she'll get more accolades, but she does a great job taking care of all the behind the scenes administration stuff for Coach Roberts, and we're so thankful for it. Also want to recognize Mike Artlett. He does a lot of our logos and designs for us, and he does them pro bono 333, and we're very thankful. He does the Hall of Fame logo and just a fantastic job on all of our stuff. We're very thankful. And now I'd like to recognize a special group of fellows, the previous coaches over the years who are in attendance tonight. You know, all the hours that coaches put into it in the past on a volunteer basis is just ridiculous. I couldn't imagine doing everything that they did for these teams coming up in the past. So we're very thankful for them in attendance. And if you'd stand where I call your name, Jean-Claude Pierre, if you'd stand up, please. Very thankful for you, sir. Your oldest serving coach. There you go. Thank you, sir. Howard Hunt. If you would stand, Howard. Thank you, Coach. Let's remember you. We're very thankful for Howard. Jeff Mason, if you'd stand, please. Jeff Mason, Coach the club, very thankful for him. Now he currently coaches the National Wheelchair Rugby team also.
Rugby league.
Rugby league. It should be rugby union, but it's rugby league. That's where he comes from in Australia. That's what he played as a young lad. And then Jeff Smoka. Coaching the team as well. A lot of different coaching roles for Jeff. We appreciate him. A special guest that we have, Kevin Schwedo. Where are you? Over. Hey, Kevin, good to see you, sir. Kevin is an honorary alumni of us, and we went ahead and gave him an honorary doctorate, too, while we were at it. So he runs the DMV, so if you have speed ticket troubles, he's the man who signs your license. But even bigger than being the head of the DMV, he's a retired colonel from the military. So special honor to Kevin. Pat Hanley, he's also in attendance. He's a retired colonel, too. And then even beyond being a retired colonel in the military, what I love about him is he wants to play rugby till he's 70, and that'd be 50 years of playing rugby, and he's only about a year or two away from it now. Am I right, Kev? Great. Yep. So that. Yep. Good job. Good job. So now he's setting the bar high for me to see what I can do following him, and like to recognize his wife Beth. She's lovely. Beth, his wife. Thank you so much for being here. And Kevin helps get us on the base for the Fort Jackson basic training that the guys get to go through on the weekend. And it's just been a great thing that he's been so supportive of and made happen over the years. We really appreciate you, Kevin. Some of the people who sponsored the event tonight: John Hinks, Hinks Mortgage Company, Mark Rockefeller, his graphics company, Palmetto Graphics, and then Kim Pipkin Built, and their information's on the back of the bulletin for you. Now I'd like to introduce one of my favorite people, I always say, Coach John Roberts. If you come up here, John. I'll say a couple nice words about John, because I love him, and he's very special. I always call him the triple threat, because not only is he a great rugby coach, he knows marketing, and this would not be happening without him. And he knows higher education. He was 25 years at Furman University over communications and marketing there, and then 5 years at Piedmont, one of the head directors of the marketing department. So he really knows higher education, knows about marketing, getting the word out of what we need to do, and then a great rugby coach. So I appreciate him so much for what he's doing for the team. So everybody give a big hand for John Roberts. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. So what I'm going to do is just talk very briefly about our fall season, our spring season. Then we have a couple awards we're going to give out to our players. Thank you all for coming here. I know many of you traveled a long distance. We had a lot of last-minute people that just wanted to rush the doors and get their tickets, and that's fine. That's fine. So I apologize if some of y'all didn't get enough barbecue, but I told the boys before tonight, I said, bring your Tupperware, because we may have some leftovers. There are no leftovers. There are no leftovers. There may be a sliver of banana pudding back there, but I don't know. Probably not. Nope. Tanker says there's nothing. It's gone. It's gone. That's good. That's good. Okay, so just real quick about the season and kind of where we are right now. We had a good fall season. Ended a little earlier than we wanted. Lost, one close game that we really wanted to go our way. We had a really good team. We made it through to the playoffs, and unfortunately we were upset by LSU and some terrible rainy weather that ended our season before we wanted it to end. We had a good game. We had a good season, and Kentucky, who ended up winning the national championship for the second year in a row. I mean, with 60 minutes to go, I mean we're ahead, and we're just playing out of our minds. And then they brought in their big people. But we had a very competitive, good team. We play in a very, very competitive conference. A lot of good teams. I mean, all of them. So, and then we've had a real successful 7th season as well. We've had to persevere through some injuries and stuff. We're still doing that. But we finished runner-up in the conference. And we're heading to Nationals next weekend. And we made it there every year, and I tell you, it's a big honor to go, because as of right now, there are only 2 teams in our conference that made it through to Nationals. Right? One other team that we won't mention up the road, and us. Okay? So that's something we can hang our hat on. Rugby is more than just championships. It's more than games. It's more than plaques, MVPs, all conference. And something that I'm really most proud of this year is how the guys all came together around Big E. And it was completely authentic from them. When Big E got hurt, and not hurt, but when he was diagnosed, and the way they rallied around, you can still, I think the hair's growing back mostly on our guys, but I told the guys, I joked, I said I probably spent Coach Roy and I probably spent the least amount of time with the barber chair. But they shaved heads all day, right? And they're in touch with Eric all the time. And what the team has been able to do represents the bond that binds us all, the rugby bond, right? It takes a certain kind of person to play this game. Not everybody can play. It's hard. It's hard. But because of that, it creates a bond with those from the past and those that play it currently. And it's neat, you know, and it's a great brotherhood. And everybody here who's worn that garnet in black is part of that brotherhood, right? We're all Gamecocks. And that's what I tell all my boys every year. I said, you're part of something that's much bigger than you are. You represent everybody else who's worn that jersey, you know. But I'm telling you, I was so inspired by them and what they accomplished. And it inspired a lot. It's been written a lot about. And I'm going to do a podcast with NCR next week. And we're going to talk about Big E. So before we give our team awards out, Eric Elkin is his name. I know a lot of you folks have been praying for him. Keep him in your prayers. Every day, when you can, please do. We believe in the power of prayer. We believe in lifting them up. Okay? I want to invite my coaches up. Come on up, guys. Jeff, Flex. We'll put the old guys over here, and we'll put the young guys over here.
Old guys.
Yeah, you guys are there. All right, real quickly, Jeff Smoke on the end. He's kind of like a jack of all trades, you know, and Roy's helping us with sevens and works with the forwards. And that's Roy. Raise your hand, Roy. That's Roy. Blake James is a university professor. I'll tell you what, you wouldn't tell it by looking at him, but he's a forwards coach. He has done a lot of great work with our forwards. Our set pieces are really, really good. And Matt Shoemaker over here, he does forwards back, coach you. He coached our 15s team this spring, did a great job, right? And Coach Eddie, Nathaniel, he does our backs. We couldn't do it without the coaches. I have a great group of coaches who all have different unique skills and different personalities. And when you put them all in a blender and you mix them up, I think it comes out pretty good, you know. The guys, I really thank you guys. So I'm going to give out the awards. And the first one's going to be given out by Lex. This is going out to our most valuable forward. So I remember last year this forward played, and he was in the starting lineup some, and the year before that he was some, and then he just was playing like a spaz. He wanted to be the point guy every time to get the ball off a hammer or off of, and every time he actually took, one time I saw this player, he took Grant Howard, who was the captain of the team, and told him, who was set to receive the ball, and said, no, it's my ball. He took Grant and moved him back. And so we had a little conversation with him. Not only that, because he would get in front, and then half the time he would drop the ball and knock it on. You know. But you never questioned this guy's heart. He was always there. And I'm telling you, this year, he made a tremendous step forward with our team. He started catching balls miraculously. It was crazy, you know. And very few knock-ons, but just plays massively. And he made all conference. And just a big, not a surprise, but just a little bit of a surprise. But from where he was good. But he's reached his potential. So our most valuable forward, Tom Brady. Go sit down. Sit down. You know, most valuable back was kind of tough because we had lots of good back play this year. It ultimately goes to someone who really led not only our back line with his communication, but also was a great little field general for us. We have been really, really blessed to have great 9 play ever since I've been here. And when JV left, you know, JV was going to be tough to replace, but we got someone just as good as JV. Giant box kicks. We're glad he transferred here. He's a senior, but we're going to have him back next year. Max Hendry.
Wait, nope.
You got to get your picture.
Hold on, sorry. Thank you.
All right, our next award goes to Rookie of the Year. This is pretty easy. This is a player who we recruited from Australia. I mean, one of the most talented guys on the team, super athletic. We started playing him at 10, and then he got hurt, and then he came back, and we put him back at fullback, which is his natural position against Kentucky. And I'll never forget the first time we put him at fullback against Kentucky. Kentucky's All-American 10, just this big, stocky guy, super fast, broke free. You guys remember that play? He broke free, and he's running down the field, right? And everybody in Kentucky's yelling because they're All-American, is breaking free. And then here comes this player. He jacks him up, picks him up, puts him on the ground, then he takes the ball from him.
Oh, my.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful. And he did this like 2 or 3 minutes after we put him in, you know. So he's going to be our fullback, I think, for the rest of his time here. We just can't wait to see him play more. We need to get him out of the training room and out the not the training room, but the ATs, the medical people. But he's going to be healthy next year. And he's an awesome player and a better young man, Charlie Dwyer. Coach Roy, you have this one? Yep. This goes out to our MVP, and we had a lot of good players that stood out this year for MVP, and I talked it over with the captains on this one. And I remember when this young man first arrived, and we were up in Wilmington. Oh, it was Coastal Carolina. And he was a freshman. And I put him in for the very first time. And when I put him in, his eyebrows furrowed, and he got this kind of madman look on his face, sort of hyper-focused. And he ran around the field that entire day like a Tasmanian devil. He would not stop. He made so many tackles. He is a tough SOB. He plays with broken fingers. You know, and he has been so consistent this year, the forwards and in the sevens. And we're looking forward to having him, you know, a lot longer. One of the toughest guys I know. He's a fantastic soldier. Our most valuable player, Gavin Curran. the next award is probably going to come as no surprise. It's our Gamecock Award. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Katie. Katie tells me I skipped someone, and I did. Our most improved player. This guy really came on last year as a speedy wing and has made a fantastic impact with our sevens team. There's probably no one on the team that's faster than this guy. He transferred from another college, and I think he was having a hard time there, kind of connected in with the student body, but he loves the Gamecocks, you know, and he loves hanging out with the guys and connecting. I know he's happy here. His parents are happy that he's here, and he's got a nice little sidestep. All right, so when you come on up and get this most improved player, Cole Maney, you can show us the sidestep. Cole Maney! Okay, next goes to the Gamecock Award. This goes to the player that has done the most for the team. Not only with his play, but more importantly, with his work off the field. So when we play a game, what you see when we're competing is just the tip of the iceberg. All right? There's so much stuff that goes on behind the scenes, from managing events, to managing all the administrative stuff that we have to do with the school, and it's a pile of work, right? To managing our compliance and eligibility, everything. And it's a huge job. And he's done a great job with it. I remember this player in his freshman year. I'm going to take a photo of you, Pete, okay? He came out. I didn't know what I had the first year. And so I'd only been coaching for about 3 weeks. We went up to Furman, and we played. And Pete didn't get any playing time. Or maybe, how long did you get, Pete?
It was one play.
One play. And after the game, Pete, the 18-year-old Pete pitched a little fit, you know? And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I hope it's not like this all the time. But after a little while, I got to understand how good of a player he was, and he's matured a lot. And that's one of the great joys of coaching for 4 years, is you get to see these boys and they come in and they're 18 and they're baby-faced, right? And then they graduate in 4 years and they're just grown up. They're young men. They're much more mature, and they've grown through this. Pete's grown up, and he's just a massive leader for our team, massive player for our team. We love him so much, and I tell you, I can't tell you this guy's probably our best. No, he is our best defensive player on the team. Never misses a tackle, except for that one time in Florida. We love him, though. Peter Blackburn, Gamecock Award. I think Pete bought some shoes for the event, right?
I did.
Pete, I'd say, Ken, no tennis shoes, and Pete would come in cowboy boots, you know? But I see he has nice dress shoes. So I want to recognize a couple of our seniors. Now, they couldn't be here tonight, but some folks are going to come up and accept the award in their honor because they had some some Easter stuff going on. So we're saying goodbye to seniors Tom Allison. I think someone's coming up to get his award. All right, Jamie. Yeah. Matt Morrow, we're going to miss Matt. Matt's not here. Bill McKernan's picking it up for him. Matt did a great job. He's with his family at Easter. Massively improved this year. We're sad to leave him. He's graduating a year early. Pat Imch, lunch, who's getting his for him? He had Easter stuff, so probably someone who's about Pat's height, but not quite his muscular build. Quinn's going to get that. Peter Blackburn gets to come up to the stage again. And Max Andrews also graduating, so Max gets to come up once more. Max is going to go to graduate school and he has one more year left, so we're looking forward to having those booming box kicks and that sort of high-pitched Scottish twang screaming at the boys. As I kind of wind up here, I want to recognize all of our scholarship players. How many guys we have on scholarship now, Jeff?
43.
43. 43 guys on scholarship. This is all this guy. It's all this guy. All right, you guys that are on scholarship, I know we got a lot of you, and some of you are overseas, and some of you are missing for Easter. But if you're on a rugby scholarship, please stand up. That's a lot of dudes. That's a lot of dudes. All right, so guys, thank you. And Jeff Smoka, always my enduring and lifelong, accolades to you and your family for helping us out. And your mom, Jay Grant, is over here. There she is. She helped out. But that's all I have until the end. So we're going to introduce Phil, who's going to come up, and he chairs our Hall of Fame committee. Man, I tell you what, man, look at Phil's hair. It's all party in the back, man. There you go.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Thanks, Coach Roberts, for sure. I was talking to him earlier, and he was like, looking up at me. And I was like, what's up, man? And he was like, you look like, I said, who? A hillbilly Ted Lasso. And I was like, hey, all right, okay. So my country album's coming out next week, so just no more questions about that. We'll just focus on this, okay? I was supposed to do 15 minutes of stand-up comedy, but I guess that was a little bit of miscommunication, so I'll go right into the Hall of Fame, all right?
Perfect, thank you.
Great. So, I chair the Hall of Fame selection committee, and it's a difficult task. It really is, because we've got so many worthy folks that come up for nomination, and we're like, God, this is tough to do. We've got to come up with some guys that come up here, and we want to give everybody their due, and of course that will happen over time. But it's just so exciting to see everybody out here, man. This is great. Good to be here. Let me talk about the actual bylaws real quick, because this is something that's new this year. And we worked really hard. Dana, I don't think Dana's here tonight, but me and Dana, we kind of sat down, and Matt Godak over here, he let us borrow Navy's bylaws just to kind of have a foundation to come up with our bylaws. So we ironed it out, and by God, we got bylaws now. So there's a process, there's a nomination process, there's a window. So in the fall, make sure, for the folks that you think are deserving, put that into the web form, and we'll check it out in the fall, and we'll get this thing going for the third year. So, yeah, just really happy about that. If you're on the committee, stand up right now. All our active members right now, stand up for me. Y'all give them a round of applause. They work hard, guys. They work really, really hard. So, next up here, I just want to talk about the importance of this whole event. This is bringing our young players and alumni older. I didn't want to say older. I was talking to Mr. Harvey earlier. He said, don't say older. Just say vets. So our vets, bringing them together, right? So we're going to do a presentation of the Garnet Jacket here shortly, and we're going to have a teammate of that person, the inductee, and also a current member of the team put that jersey on. That's symbolic. That's a big deal. That's linking the generations together, and that's what this is all about tonight. We're honoring the past, but we're engaging the future as well. So that's huge. So everybody that's here, give yourself a round of applause right now. This is great. So the person that's going to be invited up is a teammate that will be introducing the inductee for tonight. They're going to have 5 minutes. And the actual inductee, the Hall of Fame member that's joining this class this year, is going to have 10 minutes. So as I start walking up my Michael Myers walk, you're wrapping it up at that point, folks, okay? So first up here, we've got George Lucier and Quinn Lafferty. Come on, join me up on here on the stage.
All right, good evening. Fellow alumni, current players, coaches, and family and friends. I am honored to introduce the next inductee into the University of South Carolina Rugby Hall of Fame. My rugby career started a little different than most. Somehow I found myself at a rugby party one evening. Lots of beer, lots of singing, lots of camaraderie, lots of beer, lots of singing. I left the party and I said, if this is the way you party, I need to learn how to play the game. My wonderful journey had begun. I was at the next Tuesday practice and played for 4.5 years at Carolina. I used to take one class a year, a semester, just to be able to say I was a student to stay on the team. In the early seasons, the team had to travel some nearby places, like NC State, Duke, Georgia, Clemson, Wake Forest, and Atlanta. We piled into personal cars and occasionally some university vans. The university vans were short-lived though, as finding willing drivers after the customary after-game party was a bit difficult. As I remember, some of the vans were not returned in the same condition that they left Columbia. I was able to share with Rick some incredible experiences, such as participating in the first and second National Collegiate Rugby Championships at Washington Lee University in 1972 and at Palmer College in Davenport, Iowa in 1973. Palmer College was a school that educated its students to become chiropractic doctors. I always wondered why they could be able to treat their own injuries. At the same time, at that time, Palmer College was giving scholarships for rugby, that back in the 70s, if I remember, to the likes of several players from the New Zealand All Blacks. I remember one player from Palmer College that he could drop kick with both feet from 25 meters out. I thought that was a little unfair. I also shared the experience of playing in 2 matches against the HMS Bulwark, a British aircraft carrier that came into Charleston Harbor with over 900 plus men to choose a 15-player side to come up to play the University of South Carolina's rugby team. We traveled down to Charleston and we were fortunate enough to come out with a win. They were embarrassed, to say the least. The bloody Americans beat us at our own game. We didn't feel our best team, so we gave them another chance. They came up to Columbia and we beat them again. Rumor has it that several of the seamen that came up had missed the bus in Charleston and were declared MIA after the party. Rick has the ability to make you feel more than just a rugby player. He made you feel like an integral part of the team. His passion for rugby is unparalleled, devoting a lot of time to keeping us alumni informed and all the news of the current rugby team, as well as what's going on with our fellow players from the 70s. In the past 24 hours, with my fellow alumni, I've heard many stories and adventures that were inspirational on and off the field. Unforgettable life experiences, all made possible from joining the USC Rugby Club. I will leave you with this. Rick's passion for rugby, for playing rugby, was never more clear to me when he told me the story of him hitchhiking from Columbia, South Carolina to New Orleans, Louisiana, just to play in the Mardi Gras tournament at Tulane University. Now that's dedication. I am proud to be Rick's friend, and I'm more importantly proud to be Rick's teammate. Thank you.
Rick LaBelle, come on up here, man. Get your jersey. Get your,
brothers in rugby. I am honored. I'm honored to be here with everybody in this room. Please bear with me as I try to make this acceptance speech one that involves history and an educational moment for these young men in the room that have chosen to play the greatest sport in the world. In the fall of 1970, I would have never been able to fathom what a wonderful path lied ahead of me. As an incoming freshman, I decided to do a fraternity rush with Lambda Chi. Some of my brothers are here tonight. They didn't play rugby. But we did have 5 guys in my fraternity who played rugby. 2 are dead. Alan Andrews, George Freeze, Rock, myself, and we had a great time. We're brothers, we're roommates, and we're friends forever. The practices at USC then were different. When Rock talked me into coming out, he said, "Oh, Rick, you'll love it." So I get out there, and it didn't matter whether it was raining, or it was cold, or the field was muddy, if they let us practice on it. We practice. I remember one night we practiced and there were no lights, but you had to practice to be able to play on the weekend. So on a Thursday night, every Thursday, we had a full team scrimmage to see who was gonna play on Saturday. And when you had 40 people out there that wanted your job, it wasn't easy, because guys were hunting for you, right? And we all remember that. Well, we loved it. We learned how to train real hard in good weather, because we figured the harder we trained and the more we put into it, the more we'd get out of it. Back then, the game was a little bit different. Back then, there was no blood law. You could bleed as much as you want without having to leave the field. Sometimes there'd be no cleat check, if you remember that. Yep. Right, Frank? No cleats on those shoes? And we had timeouts and no substitutions. And we played on the worst field imaginable. I remember when some of our guys, including George Lucier and about 6 other guys from Carolina, decided to start Old Gray in '73. They did it up on the field by the water tower, and that field where the tennis courts are now. That field was nothing but bricks and glass and sand spurs. So I'd take my fraternity blanket out there and we'd drag it with bricks in the blanket before practice, and we'd still get messed up. It was a horrible field, but that's what we had to play with. So in my 5 years of playing at Carolina, I developed an extreme passion in the sport and wore an unbelievable sense of pride. Also, because we became addicted to winning, thanks to our coach, Jim Wynn, and everybody else on the team. I feel extremely fortunate and lucky to have been able to play with some incredible athletes over these years. At USC, we developed some lifelong friendships, now some that are 55 years plus and counting. I was part of the team, like George said, that went undefeated at Blatt Field for 4 years, 37 unbeaten home games, which is a record. Ranked 4th in the country 2 years in a row, invited to play in 2 national championship, USA Rugby national championship tournaments, and play in the first international rugby match in South Carolina, beating the British team twice, like we were previously referred to. The other thing that I was a part of, and looking back, and you don't realize when this is taking place, because your friend is saying, okay, I'm gonna leave, I'm not gonna play next year, I'm leaving to go somewhere, and I'm gonna start a club. Our family tree grew like crazy. One of the guys here started Charleston, Jerry McMahon, sitting right over there. Jerry, stand up. Dr. Frank Walton also donated jerseys to start Old Gray. Bob Grondal started that club. Ed Hughes started the Hilton Head Club. And also, we've got Frank Watford that did Allendale. So we spread our family tree with USC guys. And then of course, when Warren left, Warren went to Greenville to play for about 10 years, and Greenville became a strong force to contend with. Our family tree grew even after that, where people went, you know, out of state and founded clubs. Back then, things were a little bit different. We had no interstates. So you had to get in a car or a van, maybe 6, 7 people, and ride, you know, to get wherever you're going. Play in Virginia, play in NC State, North Carolina. We play NC State on Saturday and North Carolina on Sunday, 2 games each day. One of the times, the story that George was alluding to, I'll tell you a little bit about that story, was the New Orleans trip. Well, we were scheduled to play in New Orleans in a tournament. And I had class late in the afternoon, and everybody else had left except for Dr. Freddie Holland and Alan Andrews. Freddie says that I left late, and they left later than me, but they left earlier than I did, and I didn't have any other way to get there except to thumb. So I went out on 26, and I thumbed all the way to New Orleans. I had a duffel bag full of my gear, and the story is unbelievable. I got picked up by a trucker that took me to Greenville. I got picked up by another guy in a sports car, and I'm sitting in this MG, right? And I had my bag in front of me, I couldn't see anything, and this guy decides he wants to smoke a joint going down the highway. And the telephone calls are going by like a picket fence, and he's playing music real loud, and I thought, I might never get there, you know? So then he takes me all the way down to like near Macon, you know, lets me out. Then 3 fraternity or sorority girls pick me up, they're drinking wine in the car, and they're going to the beach. So they let me out near Gulf Shores, Alabama, and then comes along this jacked up orange Maverick with 3 redneck guys in it without any teeth. Hey man, where are you going? I said, I'm going to New Orleans. What you going there for? I said, I'm going to play rugby. Because I was wearing a blue, it said South Carolina rugby on it, and parka, and they took me into Louisiana. So it was getting to be like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and they let me out, and it was foggy, and I couldn't see crap. And I'm on this 4-lane highway, and all I hear is a bunch of dogs barking and growling and crap. I thought, what the heck's going to happen to me? I want to get to where I'm going to play rugby. So, coming down the road were 2 headlights, just doing this. And the guy stops, he says, can I give you a lift? I said, yeah, where are you going? He says, I'm going to Hammond. I said, that's where I'm going too. He says, what are you going to do down there? I said, I'm going to play rugby. So I open the door, get in the car, and there's a bottle of Jack on the front seat. And the guy has a truck with 2 trailers on it, and it's all oil gear, and his crew left, so he, you know, just left the job. So he had to take it all down, and he's moving it back to his warehouse. So he lets me off in Hammond. And I get out of the car, and it's like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. And I hadn't had any sleep. And I'm sitting in there in this restaurant, and I'm eating breakfast, talking to this other guy that went to a college that had a team there in town. And the guy says, well, you know, if you want, you can crash at my place for a couple hours if your game's not till 9 o'clock. And I'm sitting there, you know, finish eating, and all of a sudden, Freddie and Alan go by in the car. They left before I did. I beat them down to New Orleans, right? So they come in and have breakfast. The 3 of us goes to this guy's apartment, and Freddie didn't like it a bit because we go in and immediate thing, the thing we noticed was you turn around and look above the door, and the guy had 6 knives up there. Sort of like Howard Vanderbilt, right? You know, I thought the next guy's gonna come in the door is gonna try to kill him or something. We're sitting there and we're thinking, I don't know if I want to go to sleep for about an hour. I might not wake up. But anyway, we woke up and we played in that game, and we came in second in the tournament. But you showed up with 16 guys. And another thing that they don't realize, I think, today, is that if you went to a tournament back then and you had, you know, 64 teams, you had to play 5 games before you knew if you were going to be in the final game. 3 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday morning, and then the afternoon game was a championship game. And you only brought 20 guys? You did a lot of running, 40 minutes each half. No substitutions, no timeouts, no blood loss. So the game's changed a lot, but it's given me some great memories. So if I can leave you younger men with some advice, I got 6 pointers. For my older brothers, I thank you for giving me this opportunity. I really do. I mean it. The first thing I'd like our younger brothers to know is to pick up the idea that you need to know your history for your club. That's extremely important. You know when it was started, and who started it, and why did they start it, where they came from. The second thing is, what you give to rugby today can help in many things for the rest of your life, in so many things, in your career, in rugby in general, in sports. The third thing is, elevate your game. Have intense workouts. Stay late and push the 2-man sled so you can eventually push it yourself the length of the field and back by yourself. Strengthen your stride to increase your speed. The fourth thing is, increase your rugby and game focus and back it by passion. The fifth thing is, enjoy the brotherhood of the rugby world, because that's what this is all about. This is a real brotherhood. You spend some time, some energy, your focus, your life, and thank God for your family support, be able to let you do it. The fifth thing is, you need to become addicted, like I did, to winning. It's a wonderful, wonderful feeling. So that every time you set your foot on the pitch, you know you're going to win. And in closing, even today, when I think back to my best games, I wish I could play just one more game. Thank you very much.
Wow, I laughed, I cried, I could hardly contain myself. I mean, look at this hair, too. Best hair in Carolina Rugby of all time right there. Seriously. Next up, I'm going to invite Jerry McMahon and Peter Blackburn on stage here. Come on up.
My name is Jerry McMahon. I'm from Charleston. Will try to speak so that you can understand me. I also had a circuitous route to get to the USC rugby team. I graduated from Clemson in 1965. I was a basketball player. I matriculated here in 1970 after serving in the Army. And little did I know that 2 weeks later, I would be wearing garnet and black in the backfield of a rugby game of which I'd never seen before. Just like Frank, the first rugby game I ever saw, I played it. But what a backfield I joined. We had scrum half, Sandy Frazier, our club founder, and in the Hall of Fame. At fly half, we had Dr. Frank Walton. At inside center, we had Jim Wynn, another Hall of Famer. And I was the outside center, and I was also the newbie. And on the wings, we had Jack Klassen, who is here, and Burke Hayes. So it was quite a back line that we had, and we really all became great friends. They said don't go over the bio that's in the program, but you need to recognize a couple of things. Frank graduated from John Carroll in 1959. Now I joined the rugby team in 1970. So he'd been out of college 11 years. And the younger guys thought I was old. I was 27. Frank was 33. I think Jim Wynn was 29, so we had a very, very experienced back line. Frank, as I say, he joined in 1969, so he was a veteran by the time I played. We didn't keep a lot of statistics back then, but Frank scored a lot of tries, of course, and he also was our kicker, and he kicked the old school way. He kicked like Lou the Toe Grossa. He straight on kicking for conversions and penalty kicks. So he scored a lot of points every year. Now, we don't have statistics for all that, I don't think, because rugby never was a statistical thing. But he was a good fly half. He was very calm. He was solid. He had good hands. He had good judgment. He was a smart player. He was a good passer. I don't remember him ever knocking on a pitch from Sandy Frazier to start the play. And as you know, that's the biggest connection there is between the scrum half and the fly half. He was a tough runner for the short yardage. He played great defense, and he never, ever got upset. I never saw Frank in the least bit upset. And I never saw him dogging it. I never saw him. He was always in the match, in the game, and giving it his all. Our friend Tommy Utze, our teammate, Tommy Utze, said, I talked to him yesterday or this morning maybe, he said, Frank was, with his demeanor, he was a buoy of calm amongst a sea of reprobates and misfits. And that might be a slight exaggeration, but I'm gonna read very quickly what the roster was back then. And the older people, I mean the older players there, not the older people, but they'll recognize these names. We had Andy Gallen, J.B. Drew, Dave Ainsley, Nick Canizares, Gary McLean, George Geiser, Freddie Holland, Werner Mitchell, Mike Shemp, Sandy Frazier, Paul John Salvatore, Eddie Green, Jim Wynn, Frank Walton, Jerry McMahon, that's me, Jack Amy, Jack Klassen, Burke Hayes, and Eddie Rice. And it was a very cohesive group. We really did enjoy each other. We all had a good time at the parties and at the games. There are some stories that won't be told. But Frank, the best thing that he ever did, he was a great rugby player, but the best thing he ever did was to marry the lovely Kathy. She attended every game. She attended probably hundreds of games. I don't know what she said, but anyway, Frank was a good husband, a good father. He was a very good all-around rugby player, and I am proud to introduce his name as my teammate to the Hall of Fame, and I'm also proud to call him my friend, Frank Walton.
Good. Thank you, brother. Let's get a group photo with you three. Right here, please.
Thank you.
Let me make sure you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Hold it close.
let me just talk a little bit of the fun we had. You know, I was on this club a long time. I played beside Sandy Fraser. Sandy Fraser was the starter of this club. And I was very fortunate. So I played beside Sandy. And and Sandy went into the Hall of Fame. And on the other side is Jim Wynn. And Jim Wynn, and of course, Jim Wynn is in the Hall of Fame. Two good guys. And next, Jerry McSpan. And then as we got to the outside, Jack Clausen, Brad Hunt on the other wing. You couldn't want any better wings. We had a strong back line. Listen, the pack was strong, although in those first 2 years, we lost as many as we won, but not for long. We went on to win many games, many matches in a row. Ended up being invited to the Eastern Tournament Rugby Championship. Now, I didn't want to miss some other backs. We had two fullbacks who were equally good. Neither of them are here today. I'm talking about Jimmy Henderson on the one hand and Charlie Bill. Charlie Bill is still alive. I just heard from him. They could defend the goal. They could kick for touch. They could join the rush when we needed them. But it wasn't always work. We worked hard on that club, and we improved that club. But we managed to have a little fun. I have to mention my dear wife, who never missed a home match and often went to the away games. You know, we love to sing, we love to drink beer. And then we had, one of the favorites was Old MacDonald. You remember Old MacDonald? Well, some of you remember, at the end of the song, 30 rugbyers would be surrounding two naked rubbers. Now, my wife was 30, and she had 4 kids. But the younger ruggers used to put their hands around my wife's head so she couldn't see those naked ruggers. I'm very fortunate to have met the Ruggers. And you know, Coach Jonathan Roberts is taking it to a new level, and with the helpers he has. I don't know if I ever dreamed we would have such a strong association. Thank you very much.
Great job, Frank. All right. I'm going to invite Gavin Current, John Kantner, and Larry Chesney up on stage right now.
Hey guys, ladies, can you hear me okay?
How about this?
That's good.
Okay.
Cover her eyes.
Anyway, this fellow that joined the rugby team, let me go back to what I actually wrote down instead of drifting off. Okay, here we go. Okay, before coming to Columbia to play football for the Gamecocks, Warren Muir accepted a scholarship to West Point to play football for Paul Dietzel. That was 1965, I think. Close enough, anyway, for us old guys. Coach Dietzel left West Point to come to South Carolina to be head coach of the football team. And he wisely brought along Warren. And Warren quickly got noticed. He, after showing the Gamecocks, the ACC, and ultimately the country what a hell of a football player he was, Dietzel called him the toughest inside runner in college football. After showing the Gamecocks, I just read that. During his tenure with Gamecock football, Warren racked up more than 2,000 yards rushing and became South Carolina's first All-American. After graduation, he had a tryout with the New York Giants, but that didn't work out. But it was a twist of fate that benefited the University of South Carolina Rugby Club in a very big way. After moving back to Columbia, a friend of Warren's told him that he should look into rugby since he seemed to enjoy knocking the snot out of would-be tacklers. About that same time, Warren met the Carolina rugby coach, a fellow named Jim Wynn. Warren told Jim he'd like to consider maybe playing some rugby, but he wanted to take some time and watch some games and some practices, and Warren said, no man, you gotta get in there and play. I'll let you know when you screw up. Other than his first game when Warren ran the ball into a goal and did not touch it down, which I think everybody's done at least once or twice. After that, we don't recall any mistakes he made. From 72 to 75, and that's 52, because I didn't keep up with years back then. He was a huge part of our 37-game home winning streak with 9 tries in his first season, 7 the following season, plus 7 penalties and conversion kicks, and a drop kick in 73, only the second drop kick in our history at that point. And so apparently we did have a statistician here doing something here. And Warren was a rugger who could play any position and had to find the right words to fire the team up when we needed a little firing up. My most memorable Warren Muir moment occurred at Clemson during a B game. I guess I was on Clemson and Warren was on Carolina, and we were actually playing against each other in the B game because we kind of mixed things up then. And I remember so vividly that Warren broke loose and I was in the backfield. I remember just looking and he's coming straight at me. He's got that ball, and just like that picture there, he's like see these thighs that are this big, and they're going. And I'm pulling this, I go, wow. And I managed to pull him down, and I think it was just he got tangled up in my arms and legs, and he gets up and says, "Nice tackle." I still remember it very vividly. There I am. Anyway, that is my story. You gonna come up next? Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you.
My name is John Kantner. I played rugby for Carolina from 75 to 79. After that, I played rugby at Greenville for another 10 years till about 1980. That's when I got to know and appreciate Warren Muir over those 10 years. As Larry mentioned, Warren came to Carolina after his football career. He came to Carolina Rugby after his football career. And Warren at that point in time was well known in the community. Rugby was not so well known in the community, but by the time Warren left, rugby was well known. And I'll get to that. Warren helped form the Columbia Old Grey Rugby Club in 1975. He played there until 77. Then he went to Greenville. And I have to mention one thing that I think attributed to Warren's toughness, to Warren's tenacity, was his older brother, Alan. Do you agree? A lot of people knew Alan Muir. Alan Muir was a holy terror. He was tough. He wasn't crazy. He was just controlled mayhem. And it's easy to see how Warren got his toughness growing up, getting smacked around by an older brother like that, right? After Warren left Columbia, he accepted a position as employment with Michelin Tire Company in Greenville. After spending some time with Michelin sent him to France for several months for an internship. Warren played rugby over there. And while he was over in France, he picked up even more rugby skills. He learned the drop goals, the up and unders, just the nuances of playing fly half, inside center. And he brought that back to Greenville. As I said, I played with Warren in Greenville for about 8 years. I played against him when he was with Old Grey, and I played with him, obviously, in Greenville. And I can tell you, I'd rather play with him than play against him. Because I, like Larry, incurred the wrath on more than one occasion trying to tackle Warren with Old Grey. It was like a freight train coming at you. That's how he did his football. That's how he did his rugby. That's the only way he knew. But what I saw from Warren, more often than not, when he would lay you flat, he'd stop and pick you up like he did with Larry, dust you off and say, "That's the way you play rugby. Good game. Let's go. Let's keep going." That was Warren. He was a bruising, powerful runner, and he would make you pay for getting in his path, but he would appreciate if you did get in his path. Now, Greenville, we didn't keep too many statistics, but if we did, Warren's list would have been a long one. He was team captain most of his time there. He was on the Palmetto Select Side team every year. Greenville had some very excellent seasons during his time, which I attribute to Warren's leadership and his rugby skills. We had three Palmetto State championships during that time, and took down some of the notable elite clubs of the time, the Atlanta Old White, Renegades, Augusta, and of course, Clemson. We did that quite often, I think, didn't we? Yes, we did. Now, Warren moved to Aiken for a period of time when he ended his career in Greenville and returned to Columbia in 2019, where he lives today. All told, Warren played rugby 18 years. Rugby in South Carolina is so much better off for it. It'd be hard for you folks to imagine seeing this great organization we have going right now. But rugby was not always that organized. Rugby was not always that prominent in the community. We started off, we had some very great successes on the pitch. You've heard about the unbeaten streak at the national tournaments. But despite that, rugby still was not known widely around the state, around the campus. Warren's biggest contribution was not, to me, not as a stellar rugby player, but he was a program enhancer. He was an ambassador for rugby. His biggest contribution to rugby was that he gave the sport credibility, both in Carolina and around the state. He will deny it, but Warren was a folk hero after his football career. And being a folk hero in South Carolina in the early 70s and having a Boston accent, that was not easy to do. But Warren pulled it off just because he was Warren and what he accomplished. And he carried that through, and he lifted rugby beyond what it was otherwise. We had a lot of great people working hard at it. Warren contributed that in a great way, and I think it really paid off. Once word got out that Warren Muir was playing rugby, the media exposure increased. Spectators came out to see him, and the public perception of this fledgling program was elevated. And that carried over to Greenville as well. I can tell you, if we needed some publicity, we just called the sports editor and told him Warren Muir was suiting up this weekend. We'd have a full-page spread in the Sunday newspaper, time and time again. Now, Warren didn't set out to change the rugby landscape. He just wanted to try something new back in 1972. But the success and growth of rugby at USC and South Carolina statewide can be attributed in large part to the credibility that Warren Muir brought to the program. I'm pleased to have known him all those years. I'm pleased to still know Warren. I consider him a friend and a teammate. Thank you.
Warren Muir, come on up here and get this.
Anymore. Oh. Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone that's here tonight, my old buddies, my teammates, Rick O'Bell, and Frank Walton. I want to ask you a question. I noticed in your bio that you played football for the Detroit Lions. Who coached then? Because I'm curious about that. And maybe I'm talking too low. Can you hear me all right?
Working on it.
Okay. And also, my brother, Alan, was mentioned. He played.
George Wilson.
Okay, yeah. And I also mentioned that you played military football over in Okinawa somewhere. And my brother Alan was in the Marines, and he was stationed in Okinawa. He might have played against you in there. Wouldn't that be something? Anyway. John Roberts, you've done a good job here. And I'm glad I got to meet you. I got to meet Matthew over here. And he's going to be a good rugby player one day, huh? But you got to study, get a scholarship, and you can do whatever you want in life. God bless you all here. Amen. One more thing. I didn't get this from rugby. Just bad decisions in life. Make the decisions.
Go. All right, great. Wise words. All right, at this time, we're going to have Philip Rockefeller and Tom Brady come on up.
Hey guys, I think we're going to have a big room next year. And you ought to say that the first people to the buffet are the ones that are under 250 pounds. We big boys tend to eat a lot, so I apologize if you did get some food. Anyway, I had the privilege of introducing one of the most amazing ambassadors to rugby, not only to the university, but to the state and really to the country. You know, Jeff is a very humble man. The people that talk to him nowadays see a soft-spoken, he's a coach and all that, but he was the same person that we knew back in college. Very, very nice, humble man. I knew Jeff was smart the first time I met him. Now forgive me here because I grew up in Clinton, South Carolina, small town education. And I said, Jeff, what's your major? And he said, anthropology. I said, what? Is that like the study of ants, or do you apologize to ants or something? I mean, I couldn't even spell it, you know. But I realized right then that Jeff's a very smart guy. I think he probably was straight A's through college because he was very smart, tutored a lot of people. Jeff's also a great family man. He has a beautiful wife, Margaret. She's a Clemson graduate. Jeff said love blinded him with Margaret, but she corrupted 2 of his 3 kids that went to Clemson. Fortunately, his daughter Elizabeth's here. She's a Gamecock, so some of the legacy will live on. And one of the funniest things Jeff ever said to me, I remember I was living in Cincinnati when Jeff got a job offer in Dayton, Ohio. And he told his wife, says, honey, we're moving to Dayton. She goes, are you now? And she goes, Jeff, if you move to Dayton, that's exactly what you're going to be doing, Dayton. So let's talk about the nickname Smoke Daddy really quick. You know, it brings up a lot of connotations. I can tell you that it is purely because of his last name being Smoka. The natural derivative of that is Smoke Daddy. It has nothing to do with the wacky weed or the devil's lettuce. But Jeff got into rugby as a sophomore. I started rugby when Jeff was a junior, and we played a lot of rugby together. And I've always been fascinated by how people get into rugby. I mean, let's face it, we wear pads all through high school. We wear helmets. And all of a sudden, we're expected to go out there and tackle some pretty big, strong, athletic boys, all-Americans, you know, for example, in practice and in the games. I mean, I remember many times my brother and I used to go say, damn, I'm glad he's on my team. I mean, there's some boys that could knock the poop out of you, if you know what I mean. So, So anyway, going to this story, the very first play of the very first rugby game I was in, we were playing against UNC Greensboro. Now think about this. I'm 18 years old, and this is the very first play. UNC Greensboro kicks the ball, and it's coming right to Jeff. And they had a guy named Big Harry on that team. The guy was about 6'6", had needle-sharp elbows. I know because in lineouts, he would come crashing down right on top of my head. And it was just brutal. Anyway, as Jeff's sitting there waiting for the ball, here comes Big Harry down trying to get to the ball. And his elbow connects with Jeff's face. And all of a sudden, it was just like an explosion. Jeff's on the ground. The ref didn't see it. The game's going on over there. I'm looking at Jeff, and he's just pumping out blood. And I'm like, ref, you know. They bring him over. He ended up having more stitches than Frankenstein. They had to reset his nose, and he ended up missing the rest of the season. And I remember seeing all the pain and suffering that Jeff went through, and I looked at him and I said, Jeff, thank you. I just realized I am tough enough to keep playing. No, to be fair, Jeff did come back the next season with his resilience, and as we know, he's made basically a career of rugby. Jeff, you are tough enough. You were back then. You always have been tough enough. Go against the big boys that you just hung in there all these years. Thank you. Jeff was also always a leader on the field. So my first couple years at Carolina, we had some pretty big boys, Howie and all those guys, and we had a lot of upperclassmen that were just studs. And we had some pretty awesome teams. I used to think we had the best teams at Carolina until we started this whole Hall of Fame thing and talked to Rick LaBelle. I realized that maybe our great team was just average, you know. I mean, there's some really, really good teams I've seen in the 70s. So, let me get back on track here. We went to the Eastern Regionals twice, and in very close games, Virginia Tech seemed to be our nemesis. We lost 2 years in a row to Virginia Tech in very close games. Then my junior year, would have been just senior year, we were playing Virginia Tech again. And it was by far the toughest game we were going to be playing all season. And we were about an average team at this point. We had lost, as I said, we lost most of our players. And so we're a very average team, and we knew to play Virginia Tech, we had a chip on our shoulder. We really wanted to beat these guys. Virginia Tech was coming in, they were a top 8 team in the country, and we literally needed to play the perfect game to beat them. We were playing on our home field. And Jeff literally is playing scrum half, played the perfect game. We never lost one line out, just beautiful throws. He led the team all over the field, and at the end of the game, we had a victory over a top 8 team. It was by far the most significant win that season. Even beating Clemson that season, this was probably bigger because Virginia Tech was just that good. So Jeff was a leader, and he's just been amazing this whole time. He's been an inspiration to countless people, including myself, from new players and lots of people that are in this room today, especially the young folks. His impact is probably much more widespread than he even knows. Like many of you guys out there that coach rugby, started Charleston, I played for Charleston, so you know, there's a big impact when you do stuff and continue stuff with rugby. He showed leadership, as we know, tremendous generosity, as we see from the scholarship players, and his just commitment to the game. He spilled blood in the same mud. I've seen him do it, and he's still with us. He's a brother. I consider him a brother, and I can't think of anyone more deserving than the Hall of Fame than my friend and rugby brother, Jeff Smoka.
Like it. Can you get together?
3 cheers for Jeff Smoka. Hip hip!
Hooray!
Hip hip!
Hooray!
Hip hip!
Hooray!
Thank you, Philo. He's always entertaining. And I'd like to thank the Gamecock Rugby Hall of Fame Committee for their leadership and discerning to bring forth a great 2025 Hall of Fame class. It's really an honor to be recognized. You know, I've been going to practices the last 4 years when the kids have graduated, and I'm the oldest coach. But you know, the great thing is, I'm the youngest person in the Hall of Fame. So how was the Smoke Daddy introduced to this great game of rugby? I had a fraternity brother, Mark Rockefeller. We were at a mixer one night, just enjoying the views, talking about working out, running. and just, you know, how Carolina football was doing. We were 7-0 at that time. This was before the Navy game, but we were loving life. It was the fire ant attack defense, and it was Coach Joe Morris, the man in black, leading the Gamecocks on. Life was great to be on campus, and it was a great time to start playing rugby. So, rugby at that time, we played on Tuesday and Thursday nights at 7 o'clock on the band field, Field F. If y'all don't know where that is for you younger guys, that's where the, I guess the green campus is now across from California Dreaming. Yep. And it was a great place to practice, and it was also a great place to walk up the street and go to the Bird after practice. We loved going to the Bird. We would socialize, we'd talk rugby, we'd drink beer, we'd sing songs, we'd play some pool, and it was a great time. And this sophomore, when I joined, used to love it because I could walk to the practices. I could walk to the games. Everything was central downtown in Columbia, and it was a fantastic feeling. So I stress walking because I actually, at that time, you could pay for your own college education when you went to school. It's 10 times more expensive now to go to USC than when I went, just to put it in perspective. So it's actually attainable. So I sold my car, I walked and rode my bike everywhere I played, and it was just good times. But the question is, how did away games work? We didn't have the charter buses like we have today. No, we had cars that had treads showing wear. We had engines that were smoking oil. And some of those engines sounded a little bit more like sewing machines than engines. But you know what? We went to our away games, we played them, they brought us home, and we had a great time. But Nationals was a different beast. We played Virginia Tech. Now, most of the players that are in here will realize that we play conference games right now. Back in the day, it was all state-based. We were part of the Palmetto. Our rivalries were Clemson and the Citadel, and we dominated them in the 60s, the 70s, and 80s, and it was a great time. And I'm looking forward to the great times ahead with Coach John Roberts, because he's really brought the team back. So we talked about competitions. Well, one of the competitions we had was the state championship that was played every year on Halloween weekend, and that was a great time. I mean, it didn't matter how your games went on Saturday. What mattered was what went on in the party on Saturday night. And guess what? There was always a beer truck. And one year, we got to take the beer truck home. And I don't know if it was a late night or an early morning, but it was a great time to be had. So, everyone remembers their first try in rugby when they scored it. You know, who did I score it against? How was it? I was really lucky. We had a second jumper that was Philo's big brother, Mark Rockefeller, and he was the number 2 jumper before the days when they had lifting in the lineouts. So if you wanted to throw to the number 2 jumper against USC, you were going up against Mark Rockefeller, and it was tough. And so we had a line out close to the goal line against Clemson. Mark went up for the ball, rattled the guy, couldn't take it down, dropped it, and there it was, the rugby ball in the try zone, and I put my hand on it, and I scored my first try against my rival. Priceless. The highlight of my rugby career, and we've heard a little bit about this before, is going to Mardi Gras in New Orleans. 1987, we took 2 Winnebagos down there, and it was a lot of fun. We beat a highly touted Southern California team, a nationally ranked Boston College team, and in the championship, we beat a powerhouse Trent, New Jersey team badly. I mean, we were so tough that their second row tried to come into our scrum because he was dummy dusted, and we sent him on his way because he was in the wrong scrum in the wrong pack. As mentioned before, my second greatest moment was that victory over Virginia Tech. That was just a great team effort. You know, it was back and forth, and we scored the final try. And you know what? None of those guys wanted to trade any jerseys with me. That used to be a tradition that we had, was trading jerseys. but the Hokies couldn't find a way to trade jerseys after that game. Now, if you look at my, look at the program, there's a lot of accomplishments in there. But I really want to talk about, it's more than accomplishments that you do on the field. It's about what you give back to the game that matters. I'm the first person from the 1980s inducted into the Hall of Fame. There are better players than me. But what really matters, and what matters to the team and everyone else, is what you give back to the game. So I'd like to challenge all of you to think about, what can you do this summer? Peter, where can you go and play on a club team for your sevens? Who's going to play after their college career for a club? Who's going to go talk to their PE teacher about encouraging them to have a PE class in their curriculum? Who's going to coach high school or college rugby? And God bless you if you want to be a referee or touch judge. So I'll leave you with this thought. You know, invest your time into the game of rugby. Give back to the game. God bless Gamecock Rugby, and thank you very much.
All right, amazing speeches by everybody for sure. I did want to call out, special shout out to Matt Godek, who's here. All these guys are living legends, but he's a USA Hall of Famer, so Matt, go ahead and stand up for us real quick. I don't really quite recall what happens next, so I'm just going to hand it to somebody. There you go, you look like you're in charge.
Congratulations, Hall of Famers. We'd like to thank you, family members and friends that have came and gone, your loved ones. We're so proud of you guys. Thank you that we get to stand on your shoulders and got to play this great game and become a part of this family. I'd like to invite Coach Roberts back up, please.
We're going to close it out. Just want to say a couple things. Can everybody hear me? You know, it's crazy. This is my 4th year, you know, and to think about, you know, what we've been able to do. And part of a big thing of what we're always doing and working on is helping to develop really meaningful events for our alumni, finding ways to connect our young players to our alumni, celebrating those in the team that have done great things. And one of the things that we really have worked on, and we have to continue to work on, and we made pretty good strides, is if we keep this thing going, we have to instill in this program a culture of philanthropy. Now, we haven't always had that. And we've been successful at it, we've picked away at it, and we're doing pretty good so far, but we're still young. So I ask everyone here, just real quickly, when I first got here, there were a dozen people that were making gifts to the Carolina Rugby Foundation. Last year we had, I think this year we had 275. That's amazing participation. And it means that people are buying into what we're trying to do. If you made a gift to us this past year, just put your hand up this high, just a little bit so we can see. All right? Give applause. Applause at these folks. We need to continue to raise funds to support our scholarships, to support our student experiences, and most importantly, to support my salary, or I can't stay here and we can't keep, on this path. So listen, I encourage you all, please, if you didn't raise your hand, if you've already given, thank you. If you didn't raise your hand, I want you to be among those who are raising your hand next year. Okay? And thank you so much, for everything that we're doing. Help us out. If you love what we're doing, help us out. We're making a difference in the lives of celebrating our alumni
and we're making a difference in the lives of our young men. And that's what's very important. So I want to invite Bill Roden up to the, Bill, come on. You know, we're going to close it out. You know, we need to recognize Katie. Katie's been our intern for 3 years. She's been done great work in organizing the events, and even after she leaves, she's going to be a volunteer for the Carolina Rugby Foundation. She's going to continue to help us with events. You know, when you have an event like this, you guys ever seen The Wizard of Oz? Right? And the Grand Wizard speaking up on the stage, I am Oz, and then the curtain rolls back and he's just working the levers and there's craziness going around behind the curtains. That's what happens when you have an event like this, right? It comes off looking pretty good, but there's a couple of people that are always behind the curtain that are going crazy, you know, that are worried about name tags, you know, that are worried about, do we have enough food? Are we running on time? You know, and Katie's been one of those. And so, God bless her. She's going to be graduating in May, and we're going to miss her, and Bill Roden's going to give her a plaque in appreciation for all she's done for us. All right, good. So we're gonna end it with one thing, and we do this when we score a try. And I want it loud. When I say game, you say Cox. Game! Cox! Game! Cox! Thank you all.
Thank you.